So, I think it's safe to say that I don't like Blake very much. Blake is the worst. Just the worst. I'm talking about and I want me to shut up. Oh my god, I hate her so much. The only good thing about Blake is that she's one of the few consistent characters. She's shit, but she's consistently shit. I truly think she's one of the worst characters in the show. But the reason for this video is that I don't think I explained why I hate Blake that well. This is an addendum video, and I'm making it to go more in depth about my hatred for this character. Plus, to be honest, it gives me another reason to talk more shit about Blake, and I love talking shit about Blake. I'm going to try to be less emotional and more rational in this video. Super quick summary. Blake is a Faunus, half human, half animal person. Faunuses are mistreated all across Remnant. She was part of a group called the White Fang who fought for Faunus equality and peace. The group changed leaders 5 years before the series started, and the group became more violent with this new leader. Blake had a partner in this group, Adam, who endorsed this new violent methodology, and Blake didn't like the actions he and the White Fang were taking, so she left Adam and the White Fang. I hate that Blake runs away from her problems. I know that this was fully stated in the show and that this is the point of her character, but I still hate it. Some people say it makes her character more realistic. Yes, it does, and I hate seeing this trait in real life. I hate when I see myself do this, and I hate seeing it in shows. What the show is trying to say with Blake is that running away from your problems will not solve anything. They are just going to catch up to you. It just sucks that the writing is as subtle as a train wreck. It's so heavy-handed, and in the end, I truly believe Blake did not learn anything and was just forced into losing this character trait. The show never commits to having Blake realize that her actions have consequences, or at the very least, she never learns from them. The show goes out of the way to tell us that Blake is going through this realization, but they never show Blake going through it. Funny enough, it was Weiss who was explaining this to Yang of all people. In Volume 5, after Yang, Weiss, and Ruby reunite, Ruby expresses her sadness that Blake isn't with them, but Yang is still understandably upset after losing her arm because of Adam, and she explains her disdain for Blake and goes off to her room to try and calm down.
I just wish Blake could be here with us.
Yeah, well, she made her choice. I mean, she could have been here if she just stuck around. It's no big deal, though. We'll be fine.
Don't you want her here?
Why would I want her here?
Are you still mad at her for leaving?
Oh, whatever gave you that idea, Ruby? No, I'm totally fine. I'm great.
Okay, calm down.
Don't tell me to calm down! Whatever.
Weiss comes in and has a chat with Yang to try and justify why Blake left. Weiss is trying to say this to Yang. Weiss, I love you and you're just trying your best, but please, respectfully, stop trying to defend Blake. Yang has every right to feel hurt and betrayed by Blake. There should be no defending her. When Yang was suffering, Blake chose to abandon her. In fact, Yang shouldn't be the only one feeling hurt. I believe they all should feel a little betrayed by Blake's actions. Blake didn't just abandon Yang, she abandoned Team Ruby. In Volume 4, Team Ruby was separated. Weiss was forced back to her home, Yang had to recover, and Ruby continued on her adventure in order to find and defeat the main villains so that what happened at Beacon would never happen again. In Volume 5, Weiss was able to reunite with Yang after a few months, and was so elated to be with Yang again, Weiss literally leapt into her arms.
Sorry about...
I missed you so much.
I missed you too.
When Ruby and Yang reunited, they were moved to tears.
I love you.
I love you too.
When Weiss was talking with Yang, Weiss says that she is closer to the members of Team Ruby than she is with her own family.
Yang, you, Ruby, and even Blake are more like family to me than my brother or even my own father.
It's clear that this sentiment is shared between all the girls, and yet Blake still willingly abandoned them because she can't even right now. The show even tried to give Blake a valid excuse for leaving.
No, I get it. The moment you left, I knew exactly what you were doing. You're going on a one-woman rampage against the White Fang! You've always felt like the Fang was your fight. They show up, trash your school, hurt your friends. It makes perfect sense.
But Blake emphasizes that she just can't.
You're wrong, son. You're so wrong. I'm not going anywhere near the White Fang. Not yet. I need to sort some things out.
We know Blake considers the girls to be her family, and she cares deeply about them. Blake even feels bad about leaving, but yet she still continues to leave. The worst part of all of it, at the end of Volume 5, Blake reunites with Team Ruby by pure coincidence.
Yang?
Blake did not make any active effort to try and reunite with her friends. The show just brings them back together. Continuing on, in Volume 6, when Blake is back with the party, we see her trying to help Yang with her luggage, and Yang states that Blake doesn't have to try so hard, and that they're going to be okay. But this proves to be false when later in the volume, Yang gets upset at Blake when Blake states that she will protect Yang.
I'll protect you.
What?
What?
Forget it. Let's just head back.
It's obvious that Yang is still hurt by Blake's actions, and that this statement alone about Blake protecting her stings, because Yang feels like it's just not true and it's only lip service. At this point, Yang feels like the only person that Blake wants to protect is herself. So, another reason why I hate Blake is, oh, I'm sorry, did I just leave that last point hanging and not address it at all? Well, I'm just doing what the show did. Yang is upset with Blake, then the finale comes, they kill Adam, and everything's a-okay, and they can finally start exploring those romantic feelings they somehow had for each other. Because nothing spells romance like murder, am I right? Yang and Blake sure do put the partner in crime. Yang's ongoing resentment just disappears, and Blake gets off scot-free. The consequences that Blake faced were, my friend was angry at me one time, then they fell in love with me. If I had a nickel for every time someone was angry with Blake, then later they confessed they had feelings for her, I'd have 2 nickels. Which isn't a lot, but isn't it weird that it happened twice? It's like the writers wanted to show that Blake isn't perfect, but instead of having Blake learn from her mistakes and grow from them, someone gets mad at her for a scene. Blake gets sad. Something happens, and then all is forgiven. This was the turning point for me. This made me look at Blake in such a negative light, and this is when my feelings of hatred started to grow, and watching the series from then on, they only continued to fester. How can you abandon someone you're supposed to have such a strong relationship with? Again, Blake and Yang are supposed to end up in a romantic relationship. The last thing we see between Blake and Yang about Blake's abandonment is Blake telling us that she won't abandon Yang ever again, without seeing any actual character growth on Blake's part.
I'm not gonna break my promise. I swear.
I know you won't.
Now, to be fair, the show did start showing Blake and Yang being flirty with one another to try and imply some romantic feelings are developing. Did it come out of nowhere?
Yes.
Did the show try and shoehorn it in whenever it got the chance?
Yes.
Did the show use this instead of showing actual character growth and development?
Yes.
Did Yang immediately forget about Blake's abandonment and now the two of them are moving on as if nothing ever happened?
Yes.
But they're at least showing it to us. Congratulations, show. 1 step forward, 4 steps back. We're being shown surface level interactions instead of real character growth. We're not shown how Yang and Blake's relationship recovered and got to the point where they can be flirty with each other. We're not shown how Adam's murder affected Blake or how she's dealing with it. We're just told about it. Blake is one of the biggest examples of tell, not show. We are shown Blake's mistakes and issues, but we're just told that they're resolved. In Volume 9, Blake tells us that she was trying to be a bridge between humans and Faunus, and I'm sitting here like, bitch, when?
Like I said, it's simple. Much simpler than trying to be a bridge between humans and Faunus.
When has it ever been shown that Blake wanted to connect the human and Faunus worlds together? Blake wanted to fight for Faunus equality, but there's a difference between fighting to have Faunus be treated as equals and fighting to be the bridge that unites Faunus and humans together. Going off on the Faunus matter, Blake and her connection with the White Fang feels so weird to me. Blake ran away from Adam because she thought he was too violent, but she went to Adam because she ran away from her parents because she thought they were cowards and not doing enough for the Faunus movement. Blake's father, Jira Belladonna, actually founded the White Fang and wanted it to be a peaceful organization, but when the peaceful protests proved ineffective, he did nothing different and kept charging along. Jira stepped down and Sierra Khan, a new Faunus leader, took over. Sierra approved the use of violence in retaliation of ongoing human oppression, and her methods were proving effective, but Blake didn't like this.
It was working. We were being treated like equals, but not out of respect, out of fear.
Let me get this straight, Blake. If protests stop working, then more needs to be done. Unless that more involves actually fighting for your equality and freedom, then you're going too far? It feels like the writers just wanted Blake to always be in the right. When she is with the White Fang, that's the right thing to do because she's fighting for Faunus equality. When Blake left the White Fang, that was the right thing to do because the White Fang are using violence, and violence is never the answer. Some people will say it was actually Adam's fault. Adam was the one who went too far. He just wanted all humans to pay and didn't care about the people he killed. I can see where you're coming from, and I actually agree with this point.
Perfect. Move up to the next car. I'll set the charges.
What about the crew members?
What about them?
To be fair, Adam is a very wild character, and he deserves his own video. But for now, I do think I have a good defense for Adam. Well, you see, he was fucking branded. The Schnee Dust Company, yes, that Schnee Dust Company, branded Adam over his left eye, stating that Adam was nothing more than property. And this was in their lifetime too. Adam is only a few years older than Blake. How many more Faunus were treated the same? How many more Faunus suffered and were killed with no remorse as they were seen as replaceable tools? To have this group exist, and yet Blake still calls them the villains, is asinine. Blake Belladonna feels like she was written to be this deep, complex character, but she's as deep as a puddle and as complex as a captcha. Her whole gimmick about fighting for equality is surface level at best, and honestly, pretty insulting when you think about it. Whenever something doesn't go her way, she immediately runs away, and she never truly learns that this way of coping won't solve anything. When her problems do finally catch up to her, and it looks like she has to deal with them, the plot either forces the problem away, or Blake looks sad for a bit, and then the plot forces the problem away and all is forgiven. The show may have forgiven Blake, but I won't. Blake Belladonna, you fucking suck.